Hey, and welcome everyone to our live stream. It's Ned from Caspio. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I do have a new audio setup here on my end. I no longer have the giant headset that I usually carry on top of my head. Now I have just a simple microphone in front of me, so if you are able to hear me, let me know. Loud and clear? Okay, good. I'm still adjusting the settings on this microphone, so if I'm coming out louder than normal, I need to tune it a little bit. So hopefully, if it does come out too loud, just modify or change the volume on your end to fix that. Okay, good. Glad to hear that the microphone is working. So today we have HTML tips and tricks part 4. Very exciting topic even for myself, and I have two topics in mind for today's class. One is to show you how on hover effect we can scale the image and keep it inside the same container, the width, maintain the aspect ratio of the image within that container. So if you have images, it's a really nice effect to scale that image and make it a little bit bigger. And the second thing, which I thought would be beneficial, would to just walk you through the steps of what I do to modify these templates that I download to make them ready for my Caspio data pages. I think that can be very useful so that you can see how I clean out some content, modify my navigation menus, and make the pages ready for all the data pages that I might have inside my Caspio account. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at is to scale the image. Very nice if you have images, maybe real estate properties or even a profile pic like I have in my example today. In Caspio, we're going to edit. Obviously, you need to have a file data type, a field for files, and you have images stored inside a database. I'm using a tabular report, and on the results page, I have my HTML block, and inside the HTML block, that's where we add all of our CSS properties to scale the image. And it's very simple. You create the div container, right? And my class is called image-container, and then I have an ahref to take me to my details page. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. In fact, I'm going to remove it just so that you can see. What I wanted to create is when I click on the image, it takes me to the details page, but let's just simplify it and remove the ahref tag. So class image container, we have the image source, and then we insert the image field that we have in our table as a file URL, and then the properties and values that you see in my style basically are applied to that image container. So we have the height 70 pixels, width 70 pixels, overflow hidden. That's why my image is coming out as 70 pixels initially. And then we have the image container container so that we can have a height of 100%, width 100%. Object fit equals object fit cover basically maintains the aspect ratio of the image. So when you scale the image up, and then we have this transition, which is 200 milliseconds to ease in. So that's why you see that smooth scale up and down when I hover over it. See how it's slow, and you can adjust that speed if you'd like. And then finally, we have on hover, we have the transform effect to scale the image 1.3. If you want to scale it even more, you can do maybe 1.5. If I hit preview, you will see it's going to zoom in. But it doesn't distort the image. It doesn't stretch the image. That's why we use that cover property or value. Okay, so it maintains the aspect ratio. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to show you. If you have images in your applications, very nice effect to zoom in. And the second thing we're going to cover today is how I go about modifying my templates when I download them. It gives you more flexibility to change the layout and content in terms of your spacing and how you embed Caspio's data pages. Because a lot of CMSs out there, if you're using Webflow is actually pretty good, but if you're using WordPress, if you're using Weebly, you're limited in terms of spacing and how you adjust padding and margins to make content really fit the way you want. So the template I use quite a bit is this one here, which is called Nice Admin. I've used this one in many of my use cases, and it's a free download. So if anybody wants this template, you can go to this link. I will share that in the chat window and then simply download it. And once you download it and unzip that file on your local drive, you are going to be able to open up that file, and you can see it's stored locally here on my end. And this is my index page where it takes me into my dashboard. So let me open up my folder. So here are all the files that are unzipped and downloaded from that template. I didn't make any changes whatsoever. And what I like to do at the very beginning, I actually like to keep all of these pages. Once I publish all of my HTML files to the web, I will then begin deleting these, but I like to keep them inside the main directory because I want to be able to see a lot of these elements. So if I want to borrow some of this styling from my data pages, especially on the tables, because a lot of these templates are already packaged to look nice. And if you like these tables, you can apply the same style to your Caspio data pages where you maybe have an alternate background color. I happen to be a big fan of this one here where I have a white background in my heading, and this is very simple and clean, at least in my opinion. But you can see it comes with a lot of other elements too, especially if you're applying a background color, maybe based on status. So if you change the status on the tabular report, it changes the background color. But I like these colors because I think developers have already vetted out all the really nice colors that complement this template. So I will inspect the element and grab these colors and apply them in my own use cases. So that's one thing. Let me come back to my folder. The second thing that I want to point out here is my index page. Now, index page is the main page that you see in front of me here. So let me go back to the dashboard page. Okay, so that's my index page. I always like to preserve this page just in case I need to go back to it for whatever reason to grab some additional colors and see how the dashboard is set up. So what I will do, at the very beginning, I will make a copy of that page and I will just rename that to index maybe underscore copy so that I can always have it handy in case I need to go back and see what the layout used to look like. Because eventually I'm going to rename this page because it's a dashboard page. And let's say my application is an internal application and we have managers, we have admin level users, we have, I don't know, low level employees. I will rename this page to maybe mngr underscore dashboard. Okay, so this page no longer exists. So I will come back to the web and I will just rename this to mngr underscore dashboard.html. Okay, so now the index page became this page, but in my directory, I still maintain the copy. So if I ever make any changes to this one, then I can always come back to my copied one and see what I had before. Okay, so that's the first thing that I like to do. Now my manager dashboard page, I will go ahead and open that up inside Notepad++. It's a free download, anybody can use it. And this is what I use to modify my HTML documents. So I will open that up in Notepad++. And I only have one page currently open. So now I always try to take a look at this page and see and visualize so what I might be able to remove based on that dashboard page that the manager is going to be able to see. I start off with the logo, I work my way top to bottom, then I will modify my navigation menu, and then I will clean out the content that I have here in the middle. Let me actually bring back my YouTube here. Here we go. All right, so let's go back to this page. And let's say we wanted to modify the title up here. This is the first thing that I modified, the title. And I will rename that to maybe Caspio Demo CRM. Okay, I can save that, Control S to save. And then when I refresh this page, up here you will see, not Casio, the watch company, Caspio. You will see Caspio, and then when you hover over, you will see Demo CRM. That's usually what you will see on the tab anytime somebody opens up the page. I actually like to have full screen here. Okay, so let's see, what's next? So let's say you want to modify the logo. So I will scroll down a little bit. By the way, the description and keywords don't really matter if you're building an internal app. If you're building a public-facing applications for SEO, then yes, it makes more sense to modify the description and the keywords so people can So Google can index and people that are looking for your website will be able to, find it based on the keywords they're searching for. So now my logo actually comes as a combo of a logo and text. You can see we have this logo here to the left, and I also have the text. So maybe I can rename this to Caspio Demo. Let's save that. Let's refresh, and you can see Caspio Demo. Now I can also replace the logo. So let's come back to my Notepad++, and my image is located inside this assets folder, image logo.png. So if we go back to our downloaded files, and if we go to assets and we go to image, you'll be able to see that logo image. Now I also dragged in and dropped this small Caspio logo. So we're going to rename the logo small. So let's come back here and just rename this logo small. And it's a JPEG file. So let's rename PNG to JPG and hit save and refresh. And now you can see the Caspio logo and the text, but you can of course add your own logo if needed. The next thing, we have the search bar at the very top, which you can keep. This is going to be your Caspio form eventually to be able to search the data. But in a lot of my dashboards, I actually not a big fan of having a search form at the very top because it gets really technical when you resize the browser to make everything responsive. So I actually like to include the search form in the main content, and I would place that somewhere inside the main body of my template and not necessarily have it up here. So let's see what's next that we can modify. And one more thing to mention about the notification and messages. More than likely, I would remove both of these. If I have any messages coming in, I'm a big fan of having messages tab on the left-hand side as part of my main navigation menu as opposed to up here. And then a lot of the submenu for the profile name I would keep. For example, my profile, it's very nice to have because I can update my profile. If you have some email settings that you want to check for the end user, you can keep the account settings screen. I would remove need help unless you have some resources for them to look at. And I will definitely keep the sign out link to log out of the application. So let's come back here. And then once I'm done with that, then I will move over to my navigation menu and start modifying that. I will definitely keep the dashboard page because I'm a big fan of having the dashboard page for every user role. So even if it's a low-level employee, I want them to be able to see something. And if it's a manager, if it's an admin, I want them to be able to see some KPIs and metrics. So let's move down and let's get to our navigation menu. All the text that you see up here belongs to the notification and messages, which I would eventually delete if I no longer want to use it. So let's just go ahead and delete it. Let's find it. Caspio demo. You see this number 4. Usually I'm able to find inside my HTML document based on what's listed up here in my template. So we have the LI class item dropdown. Let's see what else we have here. So the search form I would remove. So you see the BIBI search, the text. That's the icon, actually, the magnifying glass. So I will take out the search. Let me see. And search bar. So here is the div and also the form to be able to search data. So I will remove that. So let's take that out and save our document. When you refresh, you will no longer see that search. Now I do like the hamburger menu because it collapses and expands the main content. It's always nice to have. Let's come back to my HTML document. By the way, let me know if this is helpful. I don't know. I thought this would be very helpful so you can see how I go top to bottom to modify the template. And then, yeah, and just modify the content in the middle of the web page so that I can make room for my Caspio data pages. All right, let's see. LI. So this entire dropdown that you see here is for my, I believe, my notifications. Yeah, so this whole entire dropdown will be for the notifications. And when you click on the first LI, if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to be able to find where it ends because it highlights the closing LI tag as well and notification navigation. So you can just highlight this whole entire section, delete it, save, and now you will no longer see, let me just refresh. You will no longer see those notifications as part of your template. Same thing with the messages. So this is for my messages. I will go all the way down and navigation for messages. But let's remove that as well. Save, refresh, and now I only have the name and also the icon, which you can carry over from a Caspio data page. We covered this in a different live stream, where if you want to create a separate data page to display the name, you will just replace the label that you see here as part of your template. So let's find Kevin Anderson. So there's K. Anderson. That's the first thing that we see up here is K. Anderson, right? So if you remove this text and replace it with a Caspio data page, and you could have an image as well if you code that into your data page, and then you can display both the name and the image as part of that data page. But I don't have that data page created, so I'm just going to remove that image. And let's save it, refresh. And now when you create the authenticated data page in Caspio to display the name when they log in, then you will be able to see the user's name in the upper right. And when you click on that, You can also have the name displayed here. That can also be that same Caspio data page. You may not necessarily want the title. But if you're modifying this submenu here, when you click on the actual name of the user, let's go down a little bit. Let's see what we want to maintain. So the profile page is good. Account setting is good. Maybe I want to remove need help. So I will take out this submenu item. And I definitely want to keep, well, we do have the divider, so we'll keep the dividers in, but I don't need 2 dividers, so we'll take that out. And then we have the sign out. So we'll save, refresh, and now you will no longer see need help. So we only have these 3 items that we want to keep. The next thing we're going to do is move down to our navigation menu. So let's go down. Here's my dashboard page. Here's my components. I can see it on the left-hand side. So now I just need to figure out how I want to structure out my navigation menu for the managers, because this is going to be when the managers log in, right? So maybe the managers, depending on the use case that you're developing, maybe the managers have the ability to manage contacts, let's say. So I will rename this to contacts, and you can just always Control S to save and see what it looks like. Now, I don't like the icon that's next to the contacts. This is a Bootstrap library for icons. And I have a lot of these memorized because I've built so many of these in the past. But if you want the full entire library for icons for Bootstrap, you can go to this link. And if you scroll down, you're going to be able to find many of the icons that you can use inside that template. So I will just paste that so that you can have access to it. So let's come back to our template. Let's go back here. And now for contacts, I know that my icon is called people. Sometimes it's users, but it's going to be people in this case. So we're going to save, refresh, and you're going to be able to see this new icon, which represents contacts or people or users, which I think it looks good for my use case. And then when you expand this navigation menu item, you see a lot of these pages that are just noise that we can remove from our navigation menu. And what I would like to have here is maybe the ability to manage contacts and maybe add a new contact in the submenu. So we will come back here and you're going to be able to see all of these drop down menu items that we can remove. I only want to keep 2, so we're going to remove most of these. So we have alerts and we have accordion. So we're going to delete these. And then for this one, maybe we can have manage contacts. And we can have add new contact. Okay, and save. So now when I refresh and when you collapse and expand that, you're going to be able to see manage contacts and add contact. Now, one thing that I would do here, if I had my data page already created to add a new contact, I might already start creating this page. One thing that I will do ahead of time is rename my navigation menu links. Okay, make sure you do that on the very first page that you're modifying. So manage contacts could be MNGR for manager, and then we can just say manage contacts. Okay, and then for this one, we can have MNGR underscore add contact. Eventually, you'll have to create those 2 pages and then embed your Caspio data pages. And then continue, just simply continue modifying the rest of your navigation menu. It's always evolving. It's never going to be constantly the same. So if you're making modifications to your app, eventually you might have to make modifications to your navigation menu as well. Let me know if you have any questions. I think that's pretty self-explanatory when it comes to navigation menu. You can just continue down your template and continue modifying it. Now, just to make things a little bit easier on the eyes, I'm going to remove the rest of what you see here. Okay, and we're going to just keep manage contacts and add contact. But you can always bring these back and rename them to something else if you need to. So we have forms that we can remove. We have additional. These are all navigation items. I already know. Just want to keep things clean so it's not too messy. If I go to pages, I'll be able to see that somewhere here. I don't know exactly where. Yeah, that's the separating text between my navigation menu. So we're going to remove that. I'll take all this out, and blank, and that's it. So now when I save and refresh, you will only be able to see contacts and these 2 navigation menu items. Now I'm still on my dashboard page. Oops. MNGR underscore dashboard.html. One thing that I forgot to mention. So you always want to make sure you rename all of your navigation menu items. So in the template, if we go back to the dashboard page, you will see it's still redirecting to the index page. So we want to rename that to MNGR dashboard. And let me make sure my logo doesn't have a redirect as well. So if we go back to the top, logo, yeah, you see how it's taking me to index.html. Make sure you redirect back to the dashboard page. Okay, so now everything should work the way it's supposed to. If I click on the logo, it takes me back to that page. If I click on the dashboard page, also takes me back to that page. So now we need to start cleaning out what we see here in the middle. And this is really just being able to visualize what data pages you would like to see on the dashboard page for your management. A lot of these we can remove, right? But what I would do initially is I would just remove the middle content, and I will keep these containers of these boxes that you see on the web page. I will keep them all on that page because I may need them at a later time. I may need to adjust the spacing and how they look side by side. So I will go in here and I will just try to find this content. It's very easy to find the content inside these boxes. If you just do Control F on the Notepad++ document, and if you look for 145, which is pretty unique, I don't think I'll see this number throughout the rest of my template. So if I look for find, I'll be able to see 145. And this is sales. Let me just close this. You can see sales for today, which in Caspio, if you're using the SQL statement, you could filter out just for today. We did a live stream on that before. So if you just wanted to see the sales for today, you could keep that. You can also keep the heading inside this box or inside this card if you'd like, or you can carry this heading inside a data page. It's up to you. I've done it both ways in the past. Okay, so what I will do is I will simply just remove this content that you see in the middle. Caspio data page, save. Okay, and then later on I'll come back and add my Caspio data page to that. Let's see. So the next thing that we want, maybe the revenue. So if you're looking for revenue, actually, I also have a filter on this one. So if you click on these three dots, you can see the filter. Now, this is something you could do. Let me come back. Yeah, it's a bit more dynamic way to filter out the data pages, but you could get it done with a little bit of script. And you can also have these be different navigation menu items. So if you would have to reload the whole page to see a different chart if you wanted to. I've done it before, but it's not as simple. So if you don't have a need to do it this way, because you could have today inside this box, this month could be inside that box, and this year could be in this box. That's easier if you ask me. And it's much less development than if you were to filter dynamically this way. So let me come back here and just remove my filter that you see. Let me make sure I have my... the filter is up here for this card. So let me see here. So there's my filter. I just want to remove those three dots so it's not confusing. Okay, so there, it's removed. And then you just go through all of your boxes and repeat the same steps to remove that. And eventually you replace these with either Caspio charts or maybe a Caspio tabular report that shows you most recent contacts that have been added or most recent sales. But I think this box here will be perfect for most recent sales, I think. So if we go to recent activity, which should be somewhere here, I can maybe just scroll down and find it. Filter. If you can't find it, then you can always just search for it. I thought I was going to be able to find it quickly, but okay, so let's search for recent activity. So we'll do Control F, recent activity. Okay. Where is recent activity? Here it is. So now for recent activity, I have my card, I have my filter, which are these three dots that we can remove. Let's see. So we don't need that. So we're going to remove this whole entire activity that we see. I may actually keep my label here. So we're going to say recent sales, maybe. Take the span out. And then for the activity, we can probably remove this whole entire div section. So let's just find the closing div. All right. And then in here, we're going to put a Caspio data page. Save and refresh. Okay. So assuming that you have cleaned this out, cleaned that out, and then this one as well. You just continue going down each one of these containers, and then eventually you're going to put your Caspio data pages into these templates. Let's try to put this report inside and replace the chart just for fun so that we can see what it looks like. So we're going to come back to find reports/today. Let me see if there's something a little bit more unique, maybe sales, revenue, customers. It should be the very next thing. Let me see if I can find it. It's just hard to find these sometimes. Recent sales, budget report. Okay, so that's my budget report, but I need reports today. I'm not worried about that one. Website traffic. So it went down, but where is reports today? So maybe it'll come back. Let's see. Maybe it's up here somewhere. Don't worry, we'll find it, and then we'll replace that chart with a Caspio data page. Let's see if we can search for it. We'll find reports today. I just need to make sure I have the right spacing here. Reports. Or let's just see if we can find it this way. Reports. Aha, here it is. Reports today. So let me close that. We're going to take out the filter. Okay, which are the three dots that you see in the upper right. So reports today, let's call this doctor directory. And we're going to take out today. And all the code that you see here is the script to reference this or to display that chart. So we're going to remove that script. Let me see. I also want to remove this whole entire div. So yeah, so let's take this out, including this script. All right, and then we're going to put a Caspio data page right there. So save. Okay, so let's go to Caspio now and let's grab that deploy code for our doctor directory, copy it, come back to my document and then paste, and let's see what it looks like. So we're going to refresh and we can see that data page embedded. So this is where I was saying about maintaining and keeping that original index page and always keeping it open as a separate tab so that I can go back to my tables and find out the styling. And then if I want to copy the style that came with the template, I would modify the Caspio default blue style to the one that came with the template, which I really, really like, because I don't like this background blue because it doesn't match the blue that came with the template. So it's clashing a little bit for me. Okay, but if I go back to my directory and if we go back to the list of HTML pages, I should even be able to find that component for tables. Let me see. Just that page itself. I just forgot the name of it. I mean, imagine, okay, tables general. So this is the one. So if I open up that page and if I compare my page to these tables, right? So that's the one that I embedded. And if I look at these tables, I happen to like this style here. For me, it's simple. I like that the heading has bold text in black and then text underneath separated by a simple border. And we already have a border here. It's very light. I don't know if you can see it, but we can take out this blue color and just make our labels a little bit bigger and bold so it looks a little bit cleaner on this template. Okay, so we've done this before. We have a complete tutorial on styling. So if you want to look for styling in Caspio as one of our Caspio live sessions, go ahead and do that. I've done a complete class on that to change the heading and also the font text so that you can see what that data page looks like. But that's really it when it comes to embedding and cleaning out these containers that come with the template. It's not overly difficult. You just have to remove the content that comes with the template and you replace that content with your own Caspio data pages that you develop. And now whoever has access to that web page will be able to see that data on the web, assuming that they log in, or you can keep it public if you want to. And that's kind of the steps that I go through in order to embed and deploy my Caspio data pages on the web. So let me know if that was helpful. I hope that it was. Once you're finished embedding and deploying locally, then you can use either FileZilla or you can use, I use WinSCP to push all of my local files to my host. And you can use one-in-one, you can use GoDaddy. they allow you to host your own local files. And then when you push them online, you have to buy your own domain name. And then you can have your whole entire custom web page and data page built in Caspio, or application built in Caspio deployed to the web. Okay, so that's really the tutorial I have for today's class for tips and tricks to modify HTML and CSS, and really how I go about when you see a lot of my examples that I save to my browser. So if we look at, I don't know, let's say this ticketing system that I built a while back. It's just a different template, right? Sarah Singh at manager.com. Log in. Another template that I found where I deploy my Caspio data page, and you can see all of these charts deployed from Caspio to the web, and all of these containers are basically what we did today. So I just clean out what's inside that comes with the template, and I replace it with a Caspio data page, and we have the whole functioning application deployed on the web. My second web page, all tickets, this contains my other data page. Let me just zoom out a little bit so that we can see that. Okay. All right, so that's all I have for today. I'm going to make the zoom in, the scale of the image available as a download in the description of the YouTube video later today. So if you would like to use that code, you can for your images, if it makes sense for your end users. So hopefully you enjoyed today's class. Feel free to download these templates and start modifying them, because you really can get the most out of these templates when you're customizing your own versus going with providers like Webflow and Weebly, because you're constrained to their sometimes fixed padding and margins and things like that. Thank you, Early. I appreciate it. King Capo, welcome back. I appreciate it. Glad that the audio is working today for you, King Capo. All right, well, thank you so much for your time. Hey, Judith. Hey, so I do have an email. I was going to mention that as the last thing. So the email that you had for showing based on the checkbox, I was planning on showing that in 2 weeks, in the next live session. So thank you for texting and commenting. So it reminded me I was going to bring that up at the very beginning. I had somebody, Judith in this case, email me asking on how we can show a different report to a user every 6 months, maybe quarterly, maybe annually. And we can use a task to calculate how many months have passed. And once the certain amount of time has passed, we can check a box in a table to display that report to the end user. So now they know that it's the quarterly report or semi-annual report is due. They can click on it, they can submit and do whatever else with that report. But it's just a simple way to calculate the amount of months that have passed to display data on the data page, and even based on the checkbox. So Didier, if you're still here, we're going to be building some tasks in 2 weeks. But it's going to be just a small part of our Caspio live session, because I will bring in other parts, maybe with tasks and triggers. Maybe we can make the whole live session about tasks and triggers, since we're doing that. Okay, perfect. Glad to hear. So yeah, everybody enjoy your long weekend. If you do have the day off for Labor Day. So hope it's a good one. Stay safe, and then we'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I will go ahead and officially end the live stream now. As always, I will keep the chat running. So if you have any last minute comments, questions, suggestions for the live stream, let me know. All right, take care. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.